Hey there, this is Zach from MyCodeTeacher.com. Today I'm going to teach you how to play multiple audio files in the iPhone. It's actually very simple with Apple's AV Foundation framework. So we're going to go ahead and use that and get started. So let's go ahead and open up Xcode here. And we're going to go to File, New Project. And it's going to be a view-based application. So go ahead and click Choose. And we're going to name this Multiple Audio Files. So now right off the bat, our class is loaded in here. We've got our view controller and our app delegate. We're not going to need to add any views. We're just going to work straight with the view that we have. So before we get into any coding, let's go ahead and design our interface. It's going to be very simple, and we're going to design it in Interface Builder. So go ahead and open up your resources folder, and we're going to edit the view controller interface builder file. Now right off the bat here, we have a couple windows. We've got our view, and we've got our view connection screen, and our library. Let's go ahead and make our library a little bit smaller here. So right off the bat, I'm going to want two buttons because we're going to play multiple audio files. I'm going to show you how to play two files today. And we're going to want two UI sliders. Okay? The sliders are going to control the audio for each file. So go ahead and drag in a button here. We're just going to put it right in the middle. And a slider right below that. And another button. And a slider. Okay, and now let's just make it a little bit neater here. Make the slider a little bit longer. And we're going to go ahead and name our buttons. Give them titles. And we're just going to default them to play. Alright, and that's how simple our user interface is going to be. Now let's learn how to actually play the multiple files in the code. So the first thing we want to do is we want to right click on our frameworks folder. In our frameworks folder we're going to add the existing framework, which is going to be AV Foundation. Apple's made it very easy to play multiple files using this AV Foundation framework, and I'm going to show you just how easy it is. So now that that's been added, let's go ahead and import the AV Foundation framework in our view controller header file. We're going to do that right up here, right below the import UI kit. The import is called import AV Foundation, and it slowly starts to appear there. And if it hasn't, I'm going to type the rest of it for you. AV Audio Player .h. Make sure that's a lowercase l right there, and that should complete your import. So that being said, we're going to need two files, which means we're going to need to declare two instances of the AV Foundation object. We're going to name the first object FilePlayer1 and the second object FilePlayer2. Additionally, we're going to need to connect our UI sliders, and we're going to call it VolumeBar1 and VolumeBar2. And we're also going to need to connect our buttons so that we can change the text on the button to whether it's playing or stopping. So let's go ahead and add our IB outlets. They're going to be UI sliders, and we're going to call it VolumeBar1, like I said, and VolumeBar2. Alright, now let's go ahead and add our buttons in here. Forgot to uppercase the O again. And we're going to call it button 1 and button 2. Alright, we're going to need two objects of the AV Foundation class. So we're going to go ahead and call the AV Audio Player. We're going to go ahead and call it FilePlayer1 and FilePlayer2. So there you have it. We've declared all of our properties of this class right here. Now we need to actually declare the methods that we're going to use in the class. What we're going to do is we're going to need a play sound method. We're going to need actually two play sound methods, one for each button, and then we're going to need two change sound methods. And so we're going to need an IB action here. And what an IB action does is it literally connects with Interface Builder's actions, and anytime an action occurs, the function that we're building of type IBAction is going to handle whatever that action does. So the first IBAction we're going to have is going to be called playSound. The second IBAction is going to be called playSound2. The third is going to be changeSound1, and we're going to need another IBAction for changeSound2. So let's go ahead and save that and open up our interface builder and connect everything that we have just put in the header file here. Let's go ahead and click on your files owner and click on the inspector and the view. Everything will pop up right here, and you'll notice button 1. So we're going to connect that to this play button right here, and we're going to call button 2. And volume bar 1 we're going to put right below the first play button, and the volume bar 2 right below the second button. And now here we have our received actions. There's going to be changeSound1 and changeSound2, so we're going to need to connect them with the UI sliders. So we're going to take the changeSound1 and put it right here with the first slider, and now as you see, a whole bunch of actions pop up right here. So basically it's saying, when do you want to call the function changeSound that we just built in the header? So we're going to say when the value changes. Okay, so right there. Now same thing with changeSound2. We're going to want to call the changeSound2 function when the value of this UI slider changes. Now playSound1 or playSound and playSound2 are going to be connected with the buttons up here. So we're going to take this right here, connect it with the button, and we want to call the playSound function basically when we touch the button. So we're going to hit the touch up inside function, and it's going to be the same thing with playSound2. Okay, so go ahead and save, and now we'll get back to more code. So now if you go to your .m file, multiple audio files view controller .m, here it loads up with the basics, but we're not going to need any of the basics right now. What we're going to need is, we're going to need an awake from nib file, because we're going to have to declare some initializing methods, and we're going to have to set basically the paths to our sound files that we're going to be playing. So I'm going to go ahead and start an awake from nib file, and that's basically going to initialize this function basically initializes when interface builder loads. So let's go ahead and declare our files. We're going to do that by calling an NSString, and we're going to call this file1 path. Now we're going to need to call the NS bundle, and the NS bundle is basically everything, all of your files included in your project. So we're going to call NS bundle, and we're going to call it the main bundle, which is your main bundle literally, and path for resources is going to be the actual name of the file. Now we haven't put them in yet. Probably would have been a good idea to do before we're going to name it, but I have this in this sounds folder here, and you'll be able to download the same sounds from the site, so you'll be able to type in the same code. So let's go ahead and add in the sounds right here. We've got Calm Ocean and Seagulls. So I'm going to go ahead and add both of those in to the resources folder. So we've got Seagulls and Calm Ocean. Now back to the code. Path for resources. The first file is going to be called Seagulls, and the type is going to be literally the extension. So it's going to be of type core audio file, CAF. And that's it for the string path, okay? Now what we need to do is we need to actually make it a URL, and that's going to be an NS URL, because this is what the object that we're about to declare takes as a parameter. So we're going to call this file1 URL, and we're going to set this equal to NS URL. We're going to allocate an NS URL, and we're going to initialize it with file URL path, which we just created above. So file1 path. And there we have it. We have just initialized an NS URL. So let's take that and actually declare an instance of the AV audio player. It's going to be file1 player, which is what we named it here in the header. As you can see, file1 player of type AV audio player. So we don't need to redeclare the type here because it's already a property of the class. So file1 player equals AV audio player, and we need to allocate this. We're actually going to need two left brackets here. So we have to close the allocation, and now we need to initialize it. There's a function called init with content URL, and we have just created an NSURL. As you can see, it takes a parameter, NSURL. So we're going to call that file1 URL. And the other parameter, error nil. Okay? So we have now just created a file path that connects to our main bundle, which goes into an NSURL, which is the parameter for the AV audio player object. Now let's duplicate this line of code and make it simple on ourselves for the second file, and just change it to the appropriate variables. We named our second file file2 player. So let's go ahead and rename all these to file2. There's our file2 player, and change it to file2 URL, and we'll change the name of the file here to calmocean.core audio file. So we are actually almost done here. We have 4 more quick methods to make, and the first one is going to be play sound, which we can basically copy after we make the first time. So remember, it's an IB action, as we declared in the header, and it's going to be called play sound. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually want to play and stop the sound. We're not just going to want to play it. So what we're going to have to do is figure out if it's already playing, then we need to stop it, and if it's not playing, then we need to play it. So we're going to say if not, and the AV audio player actually has a function that tells you if it's already playing or not. So we're going to say file1 player, because that's our instance of the AV audio player object. So if not file1 player is playing, that should return a Boolean value. So if the file1 player isn't playing, we're going to actually want to play the file, and we're going to want to set the volume based on what the slider is. So let's do the slider first. File1 player set volume. They have a nice little function to set the volume between 0 and 1. The slider is already defaulted to between 0 and 1. It's a float value. So set volume. We named it volume bar1 dot value. So that's going to set the volume. And now we're going to actually want to play the file. So file1 player play. And when we're done with that, we're going to go ahead, since it's playing, we're going to set the button title to stop. So we can do that by typing in button1 set title stop. And then we have to actually say for what state the button's in. Is it a mouse over, is it a normal state, or what? So we're going to go ahead and say for state UI control state normal, because it's a normal state that this is happening in. Got to lowercase the o there. So now, if the file player is playing, we're going to want to stop it by calling an else statement. We're going to copy and paste this up here. And we're going to hit play. We're going to make the title called play. And we're going to actually stop it, because it's going to stop it, and then if we want to play it again, we're going to want it to say play. Okay? So it's really as simple as that. So go ahead and save, and now we're going to add, copy and paste this, and add the second method in here. So we named the method playSound2, and we're going to change all the file names to file name 2. Save us a little bit of work here. Change the volume bar 1 to volume bar 2, because we're working with the second file now. Save it. And only 2 more quick methods to do. They're my favorite ones. These are going to be the changing sound functions. So change sound 1. And all we simply have to do is call the first file player, because this is going to be associated with the first UI slider. So file1 player set volume, and we're going to set it to volume bar1 dot value. Simple as that. Now let's go ahead and copy and paste and make the second one. Volume bar 2.value. Go ahead and save. Now let's go ahead and build. It looks like we made one little mistake with the file names. All we're going to have to do is go back into the header and rename everything to file 1 instead of file player 1. So we're going to call it file 1 player. I got them backwards when we put them all in together. So go ahead and rename these here. This should now be file 1 player, and this should now be file 2 player. So we're going to go ahead and save, rebuild, and everything should work. So the build succeeded. Little mistakes like that, I'll tell you, they'll get you every time. So go ahead and build and go, and we'll test it out. So now we're going to go ahead and hit play. There's the seagulls. Make it louder and softer so you can't hear them anymore. Now you can. Go ahead and stop and see how it changes back to play. Now we're going to go ahead and play the bottom one. It's the ocean. Slowly bring it down. And there you have it. So now let's go ahead and play them simultaneously. And there you have it. Both files are playing simultaneously, and it works great. That is going to conclude my lesson today for playing multiple audio files on the iPhone. My name is Zach from MyCodeTeacher.com. I'll see you next time.